Yo, 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 what is good, y'all? Welcome again to another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the kind of bombshell news that dropped from Woj earlier today about, when I'm recording this around 45 minutes ago. It's right up here, and it's that Paul George signed a max extension. 5 years if you're including this upcoming year, but 4 years for the extension, $226 million over the next 5 years for Paul George with the Clippers, according to his agent Aaron Mintz. This this is kind of crazy. It came out of nowhere. My first reaction as an OKC fan is that this kind of sucks. Obviously, Paul George staying makes the Clippers a better team, and if they're a better team, that hurts the draft picks that the Thunder got in the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade. So that's unfortunate. I was really hoping Paul George and Kawhi Leonard would both opt out. I wanted to clarify, I don't hate the Clippers. Someone on one of my previous videos asked me why I hate the Clippers. I don't. It's just that if they're bad or if their stars leave, those draft picks that the Thunder have become way, way more valuable. So I kind of want them both to leave, which I'm sorry, Clippers fans. I know you would hate to see, but that would be most beneficial to my team as a fan. So that's why I talk about hoping that Kawhi and Paul George leave, if you're wondering. Outside of that, shout out to Paul George. He secured a bag. This is a lot of money. Maybe even it'll definitely be too much money down the line. In his age 36 season, he's going to be making near $50 million. I think the exact number is around like 48 million or so. I'm not entirely sure, but that's a ton of money for Paul George, especially at age 36. I'm not blaming the Clippers, though. This is something they had to do. Especially if it means that they keep their championship title contention window open. Particularly, they had to do this because it shows Kawhi Leonard that maybe he should stay. It shows him that Paul George is going to be around for another 5 years, which maybe after last postseason he might not be a huge fan of, but it shows Kawhi Leonard that there is going to be a second star for him for the foreseeable future, so maybe Kawhi decides to stay. Maybe he opts out that player option, just re-ups long-term with Paul George like LeBron and AD did this past offseason. So that could be huge for them. Additionally, Paul George signing this contract could help their chemistry issues because they're not going to go through an entire season of, oh, PG, are you going to stay this season? Kawhi, are you going to stay this season? Because if one of those guys is going to stay, all the questions are going to go to one other person. It takes someone out of the equation, which could be huge for the Clippers' chemistry, which seemed a little shaky last season. So, see if that actually does help. As for Kawhi Leonard, I hope he doesn't end up re-signing because Paul George makes you a good team, but Kawhi Leonard makes you a great team, and I'd prefer the Clippers aren't great when we have their draft picks. So, I still honestly hope that Kawhi ends up opting out. Although I do like watching Kawhi and Paul George play as a duo. They're really fun. Congratulations to Clippers fans, even though he's a meme. I know Pandemic P is currently trending on Twitter, which sucks for Paul George, but he's still a really good player. I don't think he'll care about the memes when he's hanging out with $225 million. He's still a great player. He was an MVP candidate just a couple seasons ago. He's a great defender. He's going to hit shots most of the time. He does struggle with shoulder injuries, unfortunately, which I hope he's able to push past and have a great season this year, but I guess that'll all have to just be determined this season. With that, I think that's about everything I want to talk about with this contract. Like I said, again, the Clippers, people are going to probably give this crap, oh, how do you pay Paul George this much money? But the Clippers had to do this. If you can keep Paul George and potentially this could lead to them keeping Kawhi Leonard, you have to do this. I don't care what else arguments you make. This is something that had to be done. So, shout out to the Clippers for getting this done. I think it's a huge accomplishment from their front office. Jerry West is a wizard. They continue to do great things over there. Now it just comes down to, can they get the bigger fish, Kawhi Leonard, to stay in Los Angeles to try and fight against the Lakers. Maybe this season we'll get to see that LA versus LA series that everyone wanted to see last season. Still shout out to the Nuggets though, but I'm hoping that we do get to see that LA versus LA series. I think it would be great TV. It would be really entertaining, great for the sport in general. So who knows? And maybe we see that series end up being the determining factor if Kawhi's all right, I'm going to stay. We can beat the Lakers. Or if he's we just don't stand a chance. I'm going to head out somewhere else. So this is a huge season for the Clippers, but Paul George's extension makes everything a little bit easier for them. So shout out to the Clippers, shout out to their fans, shout out to the front office, and shout out to Paul George for getting, like I said, an absolute bag. So with that, that's everything I wanted to talk about with this. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Like, subscribe. I'm going to continue dropping rapid reactions like this when big news comes out. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Real one, say it back.